to get to the 80% level, we know it's going to cost everyone quite a bit of money, but the important thing is to know what's good for you in your house. By doing the analysis we've done, we're now able to give advice to people about to say, for all the things that are possible, maybe you've got 50 things you could do in your house. Ranking them all in a sensible manner is easily the best thing for you to do. It always comes out that doing sensible things with the way you live and the lifestyle of you live in your house, so turning thermostat down. Typically in a Victorian house you could save 200 quid just by turning the thermostat down by 1 degree. Putting a decent bit of sealant around the edge of the floorboards, filling gaps between floorboards. That can take you a couple of hours and probably cost you in materials no more than 20 quid. That can save you £50 a year. Changing the windows usually is something that people say that's the best thing I need to do to reduce my energy consumption. Well, in real terms, yes, you'll save a lot of carbon dioxide by doing that. But in terms of economic efficiency, the amount of money it costs you to do that, it far outweighs the amount of energy you'll actually save. So to give you a simple fact, changing single glazed windows to double glazing in a Victorian house usually takes you about 90 years to pay that back. So in terms of prioritising what you need to do with your budget, you need to be really sensible and focus on the insulation, draft proofing. But if you need to have new windows, then great, change your windows. But it's all about the economics, and every home is unique. So for instance, this house here, this is the typical UK home. We don't all live in a typical UK home. If you take two houses, let's say out there in Lambeth, you've got two houses, absolutely identical. They've got the same heating systems, they've got the same fabric, got the same windows. In one house there's a little old lady, and she's there all day, she sits with their TV on. The energy consumption will be entirely different from if the family next door is got 27 kids, and some of them in all day, some people are out at night, work at night, some people work during the day, and totally different heating patterns. You need to understand how that building works for that family in order to give people the right advice. If somebody's living there all day and the energy is on all day, then clearly a solar thermal panel, a solar photovoltaic panel will give energy there and then for those people, and they can use it live. If, however, they're only there during for half an hour in the morning and maybe an hour at night before they go to bed, you'll be looking at a very different set of measures that will be trying to help them reduce their energy consumption over that year. So that's the way we work as a company. We make sure we analyse those things together. Taking the energy performance certificate for your house doesn't look at the way you look at your lifestyle. It only looks at the building and the fabric. So everything is based around average figures and average weather as well. So another fact for you, if you take that house and you somehow miraculously clone the family that's living in that all day, and they move them all up to Edinburgh with their house, again the energy consumption patterns will be very different, because you've ended up with obviously a much colder climate in Edinburgh than there is down here, so their energy needs will be very different as well. So you need to look at all these things in the round. It's all about making sure you do things at the right time in order to get that cost down. We know that we need to be insulating every wall, every floor, every roof, but you don't need to do everything at once. The important thing is to make sure you know that they're needed and they're possible, and then you can do it over 10 years. My advice would be to make sure you pick the right moment in the life of that building to do that piece of work. So if you know anybody out there who's a builder or an electrician or a plumber who needs to know about these things, we've got free training courses to train them up and give them a qualification. I've got some leaflets down here on that stuff as well. But I'll give you a few more details here on our rainwater recycling system. We've got a system here that collects rainwater and stores it in the building, and allows it to fall under gravity to the parts of the building that need the water. Now, there are two ways you can use rainwater in the house, and only two, because water regulations prohibit you from using it in any other way. The first is flushing the loo. I don't know about you, but I still find it absolutely maddening that we are flushing our loo with fantastically treated water that's used a lot of energy to get there in the first place. The other one is the washing machine. You can perfectly legal for you to use rainwater in the washing machine. So in my house we have here tanks placed below a point where we're collecting rainwater off the gutter, and above where we're going to be using the place. So the loo here, you can see rainwater is coming off the gutter off the loft extension here, going into a tank in the roof, and then flowing downhill into the loo. So it's just adding as working as a header tank. When there's too much rainwater in this tank, now and again we do get quite a lot of rain, not having that much recently, it overflows and goes into another tank that I've got down the roof of the porch. When that overflows, it goes into in the water butt in the garden. So I can store just over 2,000 litres of water in my house here. None of it is fed by pumps. There's no sensors. There's nothing that basically needs maintenance. It's all ballcocks. So when I don't have enough rainwater in that tank, there's a ballcock in the bottom of that tank. The ballcock drops, and mains water gets turned on and fills the tank up. So I've always got water back to about that depth in the bottom of the tank, enough to fill up my loo. But it just depends whether it's mains water or rainwater. That whole system cost me £300. If you Google rainwater recycling, you'll find kit that costs you about £3,000, and that's before you buried it in the garden. It'll probably cost you another 1,500 quid. This cost me 300 quid, and it saves me 50% of all the water I need out of the mains in the year. Now, unfortunately, mains water is very cheap, so paying that back still takes about 6 years.